So Tibor, awesome to see you. I'm glad you came, and I'm really looking forward to do the interview with you because we know each other, we are friends, and I think, as I said, we all have a lot of stories to say, a lot to share, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to find out a little bit more about your life, about who you are, where you're going, and all these things. So before we delve into like what you're doing now and who you are now, I'd like to know a little bit more about where you come from, and what are the strong experience from back home.
Alright, so first of all, thank you for the opportunity. Okay, you having me here. And where I came from, basically, I'm coming from Slovakia, which is in Eastern Europe, in the middle of the Europe, and it used to be Czechoslovakia. So I was born in Czechoslovakia, similar like you,
Yeah.
and then it becomes Slovakia later. I live on the border between Slovakia and Hungary, so I'm a mixture. Father is Hungarian, but mother is Slovakian, so I have a bit of mixture, big mixture background basically. That's where I'm from.
Yeah. And how was it for you being raised there? How was your childhood?
Childhood up to the teenage age, it was, I always call it the ideal. I love it. I think up to that teenage, when you're a child and you're still kind of innocent, you know, you don't know the troubles in the life, the childhood is absolutely super perfect. I would never change it for anything. And ironically, I always say that the kids these days could envy us or me, my childhood. Then obviously with the teenage it's changed a little bit, and you start observing, start seeing things, and because we lived in communism, obviously when you're a teenager you start picking up certain informations about other life, and then your brain and your mind goes somewhere else. But as a childhood was absolutely perfect.
And once you got to the teenage years, what was really important for you in that age? What was really something which kind of interested you and was really important for you?
Well, I'm coming from a very small city, and I was always interested in sport.
Yes.
So my father was a football player. He was always in sport, and kind of I think it stick on me as well. So since I was a little child, I was always interested in sports. So I did martial arts, I did sports shooting, played football, and all these normal things. So when I became a teenager, the sport was the main thing, main core.
Yes.
Basically, we're doing sport nearly 24/7. So we wake up, we do sport, we go to sport. I was in a group of people who were sport minded, so the sport was the main thing.
Was also your father or your mom into sport, or?
My father, yes, my father, he was a football player, very good football player, so that was his main thing.
And was he the main influence, or there was more kids around you who was the main influence for you to start this sport?
At the beginning, definitely it was the family, father and other members of the family who played sport, and then obviously as a teenager you want to belong to some group, so I was lucky enough to have my friends surrounding who were into the sport, martial arts or fitness or weightlifting, and then the influence went through these groups.
So that from that point onwards, you kind of knew that you will be always around, sport or fitness, or at that time you didn't really think about that.
Yeah, I didn't think that that's gonna be my future or my career, but I wasn't thinking. I just like to play sport because I was surrounded with like-minded people, and it felt good. You know, you do sport, you know yourself, and it just you feel good basically.
What did it give you? What that sport gave you? If you would mention 2 or 3 things, what were the main things which that sport or that kind of activity gave you?
So first of all, you belong to some group.
Yes.
So belongings, have friends who you can rely on. The second thing is obviously give you a bit of competitiveness. So you want to be competitive. You wanna achieve something. That's why you're doing something. You want to look good, or you want to do extra. You can run extra mile, or basically if you're doing martial arts, you want to be that one that who wins. So that's another one. And the other thing is, obviously, it later when I look back now, it teaches you a lot about yourself. So in sport you have always failures, not always, but the failures and success go together. The beginning is mainly failures, and how you deal with that, basically. You can learn a lot from it. So.
Yes. And then you obviously got, after the teenage years, you got to the working age. How did you transfer from, teenage age where you were, let's say, studying? How did you transfer now you suddenly got to the stage of your life where you need to start working? How did you think about, what should I do?
Okay, so again, in that stage I was still doing quite a lot of sport. So I was an instructor that time, so that was a little bit of work, but on top of it I was studying, like you mentioned, and then the work was kind of secondary. So the work was there just to kind of feed my needs, so I could pay for training, I could pay for travel abroad to see and train with somebody, and for my leisure time. So the work that time wasn't the main thing. It was just kind of helping me to feed my needs. Right.
And where did you work at that time?
Well, I did everything possible, basically. So I did a couple of seasonal jobs in a brick factory. I was delivering newspaper. If there was opportunity, I went to help basically anywhere. And then later, my parents opened a little shop. They had a little hardware and DIY shop, and I was helping there quite a lot. So these are my main jobs, basically.
Yes. So this kind of brings me also to last question, like the three main things, because obviously now we are here in UK, you've been living here for a very long time. If you would kind of compare a little bit living here and living in Slovakia, what would be the three main things which you see in Slovakia are different from here? They could be three main things which are obviously positive, or it could be few of them might be positive, few of them might be worse, but what would you say in comparison between Slovakia and England? You see three kind of differences.
So if we're talking about right now, this time, basically these years, I go back maybe twice a year. So, but I can see the change. So Slovakia is changing pretty much, very similar like the Western world. But if I look back, one of the main difference is that still, probably because it's smaller, there is more kind of interconnection between the people, more friendship, more the word means something. So let's say, I don't know, if I make an appointment with you, or I say I'm going to be here, we shake the hands, that's enough. That kind of honesty, or more people are more simpler than here. But again, I think it varies from big city like London and somewhere smaller village. But the people are a little bit more simpler. Their minds are not so busy like here. Here it's full on. It's 24 hours full on. But back home, people get
it's maybe so-called a rat race. You're constantly on that wheel.
Exactly. You must be. This is like a big wheel, like you said, and you either in a wheel and you work, or you out the wheel and then kind of you struggle, I would say. So we're back home. People are kind of laid back. Again, we can discuss: is it good? Is it not? Maybe it make you more lazier. Maybe, but there is always pluses and minuses, but one of the things is that and people are, or used to be, a little bit more open back home. Maybe because it was smaller, I don't know. Where here people kind of are holding back, and you feel like they don't always tell you what they think. So
okay, great. And so this kind of brings me to the question of, how did you actually end up here? How did you end up from Slovakia? You ended up 15 years ago?
Yes, I came here in 2007.
2007, so that's 12 years ago.
Alright, so as I mentioned, I started to work on cruise ships, and basically I spent there nearly 3 years, 2.5 years. I worked in spa. I started as a therapist.
Yeah.
Then I was promoted into an assistant spa manager. And while I was working on the cruise ships, I met somebody who was doing acupuncture and Chinese medicine there. And basically, I had this thought, had this idea even before that in some point of my life I would like to study Chinese medicine and acupuncture.
Yes.
And basically, talking to him, I got this idea, and I researched a little bit online. I find out that here in London, in England, there are opportunities to study Chinese medicine and acupuncture. There were universities, colleges.
And I was attracted
And
to.
yes, and basically then there was an opportunity to come and work for the same company here on land basically. So I took the opportunity. I came over here and started working straight away in a spa.
Yes.
And then a couple of years later, basically I started studying as well.
That's it. How do you think this affected you? Living here. How you think it shaped you? What do you think? What this place gave you? How that developed you as a person? What do you think? How that influenced you by you living here?
Well, first of all, you meet so many people from different backgrounds, and a city like London, it's, as we mentioned, it's 24 hours, it's basically on. So you kind of have to step out from your comfort zone, and you kind of need to pick up that pace if you want to achieve something. Plus, you have opportunities here. Okay, so as I mentioned, universities, you can study things which I could not study back home or in part of the Europe at that time, probably changed now. So you have opportunities, you meet interesting people who can help you. So if you're really willing to put work behind that, behind your idea or your kind of dream, then you can achieve it. So again, because it's so multicultural, you learn a lot from different cultures. You learn a lot from different people. So you have opportunities, I would say.
Yes.
But it's up to you if you grab that opportunity or not.
Yes. Yeah, okay. So I kind of transition now to, I would like to ask what type of person you are. I would like to ask, how would you describe yourself? Who you are? Who is Tibor Urban?
Well, this would probably sounds a bit biased, but maybe we could ask somebody else. But I'm definitely somebody who is adapting, so changing. So me 20 years ago was somebody else that I'm now probably. And again, I think the personality, you have certain base or core which pretty much never changes. Okay, your characteristic, who you are. Like me, I'm sometimes stubborn. That's one of the things. Although with the years and the environment around you, surrounding where you live, these things can a little bit change. At the moment, in this stage of the life, I would say I'm much more laid back and much more laid back and much more wiser than I was 20 years ago. So I don't rush to the things like I used to rush, and I kind of laid back, analyze things more than, let's say, 10, 15 years ago.
You are like maybe reactive.
Probably,
or,
but I think, that comes with the age.
Yeah.
I think that comes with the age, and again, because you're living in a foreign land, you speak in foreign language, so it makes you kind of think a little bit. You kind of, you can't just rush and express yourself in a way like, let's say, 15, 20 years ago. Here you need to kind of think about your steps a little bit.
Yes. What would you say are your most important values in life? What do you really value in life?
Again, that's the other thing which I think values changing probably with the age and with the place, but at the moment health is number one. Okay. The second is loving family and friends. So basically having the family and friends, having the circle around you which give you that stability and can push you. And the third one is always something which is changing, but I think one of the value, most important value, is honesty. To be honest to yourself and to be honest to your surroundings. So yeah, I think at the
Nice.
moment this order.
Nice. I'd like to ask about your challenges in life. What were the breakthroughs? What were the epiphanies where you sit down and had to really perhaps change course of your life, course of your direction in life, or something happened, some strong experience which had massive impact on you? What really stands up? What first kind of coming up on your mind when I ask this question?
I think the one of the biggest challenge and the challenge which probably shaped my life was when I left home.
Mm-hmm.
When I decided that after 22, 23 years of quite comfortable life, basically, because I can't complain, I had a quite comfortable life back home, I'm gonna completely change, and I'm gonna go to a foreign country, studying foreign language which I didn't speak. And that was basically when I first came here to UK. I had this idea of what I would like to be, and that first step to leave everything behind back home and go to unknown, basically.
Yes.
So that was one of the biggest challenge, basically. You never know where
Yes.
you're going, what you're going. You have this idea, you have this goal or dream, and do that first step. And I think that's the most difficult in life for everybody, to do that first step.
How did you manage to do that first step?
I was just determined, and I said to myself that if I don't put things into action, if I don't do the first step, nobody else will.
Yes.
And it was a bit of challenge as well. It was kind of like an adrenaline rush to do it, and that was my biggest challenge, I think, and something which really change and shape my future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is interesting. And what other challenge that would be? Because that's the first one when you started to travel. What about from that moment onwards? Was there anything else which really influenced you, shaped you, or impacted you in some way? Because from that moment, we would say that that's another 15 years of your life. Was there anything similar or anything really different but really impactful?
I would say from that first step, it was nearly every day. Every day there was a challenge. First was a challenge to study language. Second challenge was basically meet other people, new job, prove yourself. So I would say since that day, every day up to today, there is every day some challenge, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it was anything particular which would kind of be there, standing there. But
Nothing is really kind of standing.
not really. From there, it was every day was challenge, and once I achieved it, it was it, basically. So
Okay.
I wouldn't
really
point
standing up.
anything
Okay.
standing up. Every day is a little
Nothing
bit
kind of really dramatic or something like that. It was
not yet.
Not yet.
Luckily, not yet.
yes.
So
Good. Now, tell me, where are you heading now? Where is it? Where is it now? Where is Tibor in way of thinking? Where is your vision now? What are you trying to achieve? Where you want to get?
So, as you know, basically, I graduated in 2016 from Chinese medicine and acupuncture from university, and I'm trying to now build my business, build the clientele, and since I was a teenager, I always inclined to kind of Western philosophy through martial arts and all this thing, and basically now my goal, or I'm heading basically to the direction of be a successful, I can't say acupuncturist, that sounds bad, but successful practitioner of alternative medicine, if you could put it that way.
And how would you like to go about it? What how would you like to achieve it? Would you like to work with someone? Would you like to work for someone? Would you like to work on your own? If we were talking about ideal place, where you would like to see yourself, if you close your eyes and you would like to see that ideal place in terms of work, how that would look like?
So definitely have my own practice. I would like to have my own clinic, working together with a couple of other professionals, basically, and kind of giving a good service to people.
Yes.
So again, a clinic would be something where I would have different therapists doing different things. I would be one of them. So somewhere, a place where people could come in and get the help what they need,
Nice.
or get the service
Yes.
what they need.
And this would be in London, Slovakia, or?
That's a good question. I mean, in London, here in England, you have opportunities, but it could be back home as well.
Because I'm just trying to connect it with, let's say you have family.
Yeah.
Would you want to stay here and have that clinic here, or would you want to raise your family somewhere else?
Raising family, that's a good question. I think it's always a family matter. So as long as family is happy here, would stay here. But if the family decides that we move somewhere for a better quality life, then we will move there basically. I think once you have your family around you, you can live anywhere. So once you create your own happiness and a little own island, you could live basically anywhere.
And now I would like to ask, we all done some mistakes, we all learn along the journey. Tell me what mistakes, what challenges, not necessarily challenges, but what mistakes and what good things would you like to advise someone who is, let's say, 20 years old, he's on a similar path like you, and really you would want to advise him to make sure that he doesn't do the same mistakes, and also maybe perhaps he could take some advice to do things right. What would it be?
So mistake, I would say, don't rush into things. Okay, don't rush into things. If you have any goal or if you have any dream, go for it. Okay, and do everything in your capability to basically achieve it. But don't rush into the thing. Put hard work, put effort, make that action to do it. That's one thing. The other thing is listen to more experienced people. Okay, try to surround yourself with people who already have some experience. Listen to them. Okay, because you can learn a lot and you can avoid a lot of mistakes on the journey. So that would be the other thing. But the main thing would be don't rush into the things and live your dream. Really do what you really feel you want to do. Don't leave it for the next day. Don't leave it for next year. Anything like that. Go for it. Even a small step can bring you closer to your goal or to your dream.
So you would basically encourage people to try out even though they fail?
Definitely.
But
failure is very important. Without failure, I don't think there is a success. Because if you don't fail, you don't know what success is basically. You need to feel that failure to understand what is success. Okay, the same like you don't appreciate your health until you have any medical issue or any problem,
Yes.
So the failure must be there, and don't be afraid of the failure. They will come. Okay, take it as a challenge. Learn from it. Try to turn it into your favor. So, yeah.
Nice.
I would say.
Nice. Now, I would like to know what type of message, if you would have to pick one message. Let's say you have this massive billboard where the whole world can see that message. It's your message, which for you is very important for people to know. Perhaps you can even frame it for today's society, where we are in 2019, in the middle of 2019. What would be the message? It could be a message in regards to where the culture is right now, or where we are as a humankind, but it could be also a general message maybe towards life, towards progress in life. Whatever it is, what would be the message which you would like to for people to see and really follow, really acknowledge?
That's a very complex question, actually, and
you could have two messages for two different things: one for life, one for perhaps society right now.
So for life, definitely, I would say follow your dreams, follow your goals. Again, dreams sometimes can be a bit tricky because you can have dreams, daydreaming about things which are not really realistic. But if you feel something deep inside in your heart, you want to do something, you want to achieve something, go for it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't or you should not or anything. Try to achieve it. But saying this one, it is important that you're honest to yourself, and you can say that this is something which really is achievable, and it has a purpose. Because if you're dreaming about something just because you had a dream tonight, that wouldn't work. So live your life fully, have your dream, and go after that. Definitely go after that. And the other question you said, in society?
Yeah, for today, for example, what would you say? Let's say you probably a little bit follow what society we're living in, whether in Western culture or, and based on that, we are 2019. You know the current affairs, what's happening in the world. Is there anything which you would like to say? Perhaps a reminder or something which you would like to remind society, or remind the humankind of something? Is there any message you would like to send them?
Honesty would be one thing. You need to be really honest with people. Tell the people what you have on your mind and on your heart, but don't try. I think the problem these days is that people are holding back what they want to say because they're afraid that whatever we say these days, people can turn it straight to negative. Negativity is everywhere around us. Okay, and we're trying to always be negative, always trying to find that negative factor, something, because it sells well, that's the headlines of everything. So kind of talk about the problems, be honest with people. That's one thing. The other thing is be kind to people as well. Kindness is very important because we have a lot of negative forces and a lot of bad thing happening around us, which I think a lot of time is artificially artificially
stirred up, or
a little bit stirred up, like you said, a little bit. So be honest, be kind to people, and people can appreciate it. I believe still that people are good inside. We just somehow we're forgetting the kindness and the honesty, and I'm missing it. I'm really missing it these days from people. So be kind and be honest.
Yes. Okay,
That
thank
will be
you.
the message.
I'd like to ask, what motivates you? What motivates you? What are the things which, how you can keep being motivated?
It's basically motivation. I like to learn things. So one of my motivation, I want to be always on top of the thing. This could go bad way as well. Maybe it sounds bad, but one of my motivation is to improve myself. So again, as a therapist, if I have a patient or a client who comes with certain problems, and I don't know too much about the problem, I want to know more about the problem. So I wanna make sure that I don't wanna get caught in a situation when basically I can't help or I can't do anything. So this is one of the motivation from point of view as a therapist. So I'm trying to improve. I try to always every day study. I try to read something. I try to be better than I was yesterday, and a little bit know more than I knew yesterday. So improvement, self-improvement is all the time there. And it's again just to be on top of searching, be on top of the things. Again, if it could sound when I say top of the thing that I want to be the boss, but it's not about that. It's about self-development. So that's a motivation. There is so many information, so much knowledge out there, and if you just sit back and you think that I know everything now, I don't know, I finished my studies or anything, that's the worst thing that can happen to you. So
okay, so that brings me to the question: who were your major influences? Who were your major, people who you were looking up to and learn from?
So as I mentioned at the beginning, it was the family, the closest family, which is I think one of the most important in the life of the child. Then later on is that group of the people you're surrounded with, okay, which is basically nearly up to date. And then these days is again the closest family to me. And on the journey, basically, you meet influential people, teachers, professors, or some mentors. So, but I would say family and the friends around
are the most influential.
Yeah, these are the most influential for me.
Sure.
I wouldn't like to pick up anybody individually, because if I pick up one and forget another one, then that wouldn't be really fair.
Yes. we pretty much covered everything what I wanted to cover today. What would be the final words you would like to say or mention? Is there anything how you can imagine to close this conversation? Perhaps what legacy would you like to leave? What legacy would you like to leave? Basically, who, once you're 80, what you want people to say about you?
Oh, very difficult question.
Let's say you have on your 80th birthday, and your son or your daughter or someone really close to your family is reading about you. My father was this and this. What would you like to leave in their mind as a memory of you?
Okay, so I go a little bit back to the past, and I always say, when people ask me, I say I'm quite fortunate that in the last 20 years I've been doing what I wanted to do. So all my jobs, all my work, everything what I did up till now, the last 20 years, is something which I chosen. I wanted to do it. Nobody forced me into it. And I would say if I'm going to be 80 years old and somebody going to read my CV or my story, one thing which I would like them to see is do what you want to do, what makes you happy. Because if you're happy inside, you're going to make happy your surroundings.
Yes.
So you don't really need so much. You don't need to rely so much on other people to make you happy, because I think that's one of the problems these days. We just want, make me happy, I want to be with you because I want something from you. You need to be happy from inside. And that comes when you're satisfied with things you achieve. So when you go to bed every evening and you think about that, okay, did I do what I was supposed to do, what I wanted to do, this make me happy. And if you're happy inside, everything happens around you. So the message would be, again, live your life fully and do things which makes you happy and you really want to do. And again, if you're happy, everything going around you gonna be happy.
That kind of sums it up all. This was a pleasure. Even like I learned a lot from this, and it was very, very pleasant that all the information and your story. So thank you very much, Tibor.
My pleasure. Always handshake, which we're missing these days.
Yes, exactly. And I really enjoyed it. So thank you very much.